Was a girl running in a group. She had a high-speed motor in a 40 Ford coupe. She had a racing cam and a supercharged. Look at Buddy, hot rod and large. She's a hot rod. She's a hot rod.
You think I was kidding about this Mercedes-Benz? 2013 to 2017, every model, look at, there's 2 pages, 2 full pages of Mercedes-Benz being recalled because their emergency locator service is brain dead. It doesn't know where nobody is. Okay, now think about that. Some of those were $40 and $50 and $60,000 Mercedes. Some of those were $100 and $120,000 Mercedes. And the GPS doesn't work right, and it's supposed to, if you have a fender bender or if you have a crash and you're hurt, it's supposed to call an ambulance for you. That's what it does. That's a safety feature that I like, actually. All right. You know what? 2019 Ford Ranger. God, I'm glad I didn't buy one of these. I almost bought a 2019 when they came back, Ford Ranger, came back and put them back on the market. Another 72,000 2019 Ford Rangers are recalled for poor taillights that cannot be seen at night. They're either misaligned, a misaligned connector in both of the side sockets are said to be the blame. Sounds like a design flaw to me, right? Right. That's like 4 recalls. 5 recalls on the Ranger. I mean, that's, holy cow, that thing having a little trouble with their first-year car. I thought that myth was dead, the first-year car. I remember my grandpa always saying, never buy a first-year car, son, because they're bad. Well, I didn't. The newer cars, the first year, if it's bad, it's going to be bad in the second year, too, trust me. Just the way they're designed. But that's the way it is. 928 Car Guys, if you want to weigh in on anything I got going here. Cooper Tires is recalling motorcycle tires. They're Avon Cobra Chrome motorcycle tires, 240 50 by 16. Sounds like it must be for a trike or 3-wheeler. But they're if you got Cooper tires on your motorcycle, give them a call or go to your motorcycle dealer and get them replaced because they're bad. I got a recall here that I want everybody to pay attention. This is for car seats, for babies, for kids. And I know a lot of you parents have them. Merit Manufacturing. They're recalling their Angel Guard, Angel Ride car beds. Whatever that is. It seems like a car seat that folds into a bed for a car bed so the baby can lay down or whatever. But this is important. This is a car seat that's not safe for the occupant. The occupant can get thrown out of it. I got a phone number here. 317-409-0146. If you have any questions, Merit Manufacturing. 317-409-0146. Give them a call if you own one of these Angel Guard, Angel Ride car bed seats. Simply because they're not safe. And your kids are in them. Come on. We have a few other recalls that we got to keep. I told you I had a bunch. We have some left over. General Motors is recalling 640,000 pickups, 2019 and 2020s, for seatbelt pretensioners. That's the part that sucks it back in and out. Caught when they have caught fire when deployed during an accident. Yeah. GMC Sierras and Chevrolet Silverados have reported several fires, but no fatalities yet. Okay? General Motors wants you to know that. No fatalities as yet. Fiat Chrysler recalling over 70,000 Fiat 500s. Oh, for shift cables. We went over that. That's one of the NHTSA ones. That's not a voluntary one. Mazda from 204 to 212. Various models are being called back to replace the Takata airbag inflator that has already been replaced once. Check that out. About 100,000 different Mazdas are involved. So there's 8 years of Mazdas where they put the Takata airbag inflator in, and it's just as bad as the last one. We call that a recall of a recall of a recall here on the Car Guy Show. Prevent Group, a major supplier of automotive parts to Volkswagen, has filed suit against VW for what they call anti-competitive tactics that keep the Prevent Group from acquiring smaller competitors in the U.S. Seems VW extracted agreements from some suppliers to not sell themselves to the Prevent Group. It's called a monopoly, ain't it? I think that's what that's called, if I'm not if I'm not wrong. The Prevent Group is seeking in excess of $750 million in their lawsuit. Hello? A lot of legal stuff going on after we do the recalls and we do the legal stuff, and man, it's all out there. The National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB acronym, has gone on record slamming Uber's self-driving culture. This is coming after the agency's deep investigation into that Arizona incident where a woman was killed by an Uber vehicle in self-drive mode. And they claim, well, she wasn't in a crosswalk. I don't care. People are going to step out in front of your car. You got to be able to, anyway. But with a human backup driver was in the car now, see? And they weren't paying attention, apparently. This is while walking her bike across the street in Tempe, Arizona. The NTSB is calling Uber's self-driving culture ineffective at best. Okay? And they're right. It's ineffective. It doesn't work. That's not the first person, not the first crash they've had. At a Senate Commerce Committee meeting, U.S. Senator from Massachusetts, Ed Markey, formally asked Tesla to disable its autopilot assistance program until it installs new safeguards to prevent drivers from evading system limits that let them fall asleep while the thing is in autopilot. So you got a driver in the car, and he's supposed to be watching. Autopilot is not what you think it is. It's not complete autopilot. It's not like set that and go back in the back and make yourself a cocktail. Autopilot means you're going to watch what's going on, but it's driving you. The senator cited several videos that show Tesla drivers sleeping behind the wheel, going on to say that this is not safe and he fears for loss of life. Well, guys, this only echoes what I've been saying. I've been saying for how long? Too much, too fast. Too much, too fast. Let's make it safe first, then we can give the driver a by God pillow if we have to. I mean, it's not the same. We have to make sure, because people are going to take advantage of this. People think that autopilot is autopilot. There was an old joke about the guy with the motorhome. He set his cruise control and went in the back to make himself a cocktail. His autopilot, he called it. It was his cruise control. And of course it crashed. That just doesn't work. And it's not Flash Gordon and it's not George Jetson. We are not that far along yet. It'll get there. It'll get there. All right? I guarantee you it'll get there. You know, it's time we talk just a little more about this whole self-driving technology. All right? Most of the rules of the road for autonomous driving across the country are quite vague, or at the very least, not up to date. Hence the various crashes and deaths. I went through this. I did a lot of research to this, and it's unbelievable what we haven't done. I can't even tell you what we have done because it's too overshadowed by what we have not done to further autonomous driving. The only thing we've done is let these guys run wild making stuff. The NHTSA, the group that the lawmakers look to for guidance when it comes to vehicle regulation, currently has no rules or regs for vehicles that have no gear shift, steering wheel, and no pedals. They're in the working, I'm told. I even called the NHTSA to ask. Well, they're in the works. The rules are coming. Well, they got to come up with rules and regs so that the lawmakers in Congress can make autonomous driving laws. There are, however, a patchwork of state-level laws at various states that are just that, patchwork. This is what I'm talking about. Some states have tried to make laws without the NHTSA and without the NTSB, and California allows self-driving vehicles and their testing, but requires regular reports on all advancements made in the system or in the industry. In Pennsylvania, unmanned cars and trucks are prohibited completely. There's none of that. In Arizona and Nevada, the autonomous vehicle must achieve a minimal risk condition in the event of a failure. In other words, if somebody gets killed, you have to show that it was minimal risk. These and other local rules only add to the confusion that is self-driving. This is what I'm talking about. It has to be, the government has to step in because they will go just as fast and as furious as you let them. Okay? These automakers, when I come back from this break, I'm going to tell you just a little bit more about this. I have to talk about this because Tesla is a good example. I know everybody, I get on them, and I know that. Fisker was another one, but this autonomous thing. To be the first on the block is a wonderful thing when you're doing something. You're the man in the door. But at what price? I got to talk. I'm still talking, and I'm still beating up on autonomous driving, how I want this to go. I want it to come. I want autonomous driving to be there. But I want it to be safe. Now here, Tesla. And you know I always pick on them, and I'm sorry, but I do. Tesla has been testing its smart summon feature in various states. Now this feature allows the owner to exit the building and summon their vehicle from the parking garage to the exact spot where they are waiting. Okay. This is an example of the auto industry taking the rules to the very edge of legal. They haven't even got, there's no real driver in this car. No human driver. This is coming out of the parking lot by itself. A crowded parking lot, down the ramps, the whole bit. And it has crashed a few times already, by the way. Okay? Too much, too fast is not a far-fetched expression for me. Nor is it old-fashioned. I love this technology, but I don't want it sidelined by a few automakers in a huge hurry to be first on the block at any cost of damage or life. Because that's what's going to happen. It's going to get tough out there. And somebody's going to get people. What did Ma used to say? It's all fun and games till somebody gets hurt. Well, guess what? It's all competition till somebody gets hurt. The future of autonomous driving vehicles rests squarely on the shoulders of three groups: the NHTSA, the NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board, and the IIHS, Independent Insurance Highway Safety Group. These are the guys that must help our lawmakers transform the current bills to adapt to the new technology. That being said, the cooperation of the automakers is critical to ensure safety. To just keep developing new things without perfecting the last ones, it's dangerous to everybody concerned, and it could kill riders and bankrupt certain makers of the self-driving cars because they don't have the liability coverage for something they're trying to do, but they got to keep up with Tesla, and they got to keep up with Chevy Volt, and they're trying to keep up with Fisker, and they're going to have problems, and they're going to get, it's not right. To just keep cranking out different technology without fine-tuning the last one is not the way Henry Ford, Ransom Olds, or Old Man Benz would have done it. And while that's 100 years ago, the principle is still relevant, and the results are still the same. The government cannot allow automakers to run wild, but at the same time must not discourage research and development. There's a fine line to be walked here. But something tells me the American consumer will find or will help with their buying trends. Because there's only so many test pilots among us. So some of us are not going to put up with being the first on the block. They're going to want that safety feature. They're going to want the extra added attraction of a safe car. You know what I'm saying? Because pretty soon, with insurance and the whole bit, the industry is going to change so fast, so far, it's going to be crazy. You're not going to have insurance companies they're going to start to shrivel up because they're not going to be worried about insuring anything because there's no human nature factor there. And of course, liability will go with the company of the car that is manufacturing the car that you are riding in, because you're not driving anything. All you're doing is telling that car where you want it to go. whether you own it or whether you called for it or whatever, this is where it's going. Down the road, this is going to be the case. Soon they won't. You laugh about electric. Pretty soon there'll be hover cars. They won't even be touching the ground. You won't even care if there's a pothole because you don't have tires to ruin. It will be George Jetson. Trust me.
I would be so prepared for that one.
You would love.
I'll be excited for that one. But then again, at the same time, if there's people driving like maniacs in the streets, imagine if they have a hoverboard or however one of those flying cars and up in the air. So there's pros and cons.
Chaos. I mean, there's people that can't drive a car, let alone fly it. I mean, come on. Fly it's a different ballgame. Well, we'll get there. It's going to happen. It's coming. It's going to happen, and not in my lifetime, thank God. And maybe not in yours, but down the road, the future of the automotive world took a dramatic change in this decade. This is the decade that did it. We are the group that changed automotive industry. This is like the Industrial Revolution, the Iron Age, whatever you want to call it. It's crazy. Yeah. We'll see. Seems that FCA Chrysler and the UAW have reached a temporary agreement, and they have, in contract talks. Most of the deal is similar to GM and Ford deals, with no change in health care and $9,000 and a $9,000 signing bonus. However, unlike the others, FCA is creating a path for temporary workers to full-time status. I had an update on that earlier today, or it was later today actually, that told me that they are going to get a little bit of health care, and they're going to get different wage bonuses. FCA and Chrysler are negotiating for a really good deal, but they have a little problem, which we'll talk about in a little later. And there is we're going to talk about it now. There is an 800-pound gorilla in the FCA boardroom. Last week, General Motors filed a federal racketeering lawsuit against Fiat Chrysler and 3 FCA executives who have pleaded guilty in the ongoing federal corruption probe involving the United Auto Workers Union. GM claims that FCA Chrysler engaged in a multi-year pattern of corruption to undermine the integrity of the collective bargaining process. That's a nice way of saying that the FCA fat cats were bribing the UAW fat cats to screw up the works and the workers. GM is seeking damages in the billions, and no UAW executives were named in the filing on this suit. They're already in jail, most of them. This came at a very trying time for FCA, as they are still in contract talks and merger talks. Well, yeah, they are. They're trying to merge with Peugeot, PSA. So it'll be FCA, PSA, Chrysler. It almost sounds dirty. You want to know the truth? That doesn't sound right.
No, it doesn't.
Easier. Don't put anagrams in that. I don't want you figuring what that stands for. That's Fiat Chrysler and Peugeot of France. That's what we need is a bunch of, never mind.